GABA is our primary relaxing neurotransmitter in the brain. Many of us now, because we're on all the time, don't know how to relax, don't know how to calm down. And that's a part of that is because we've forgotten what it feels like to be parasympathetic. And additional part of that is that many of us walking around these days are GABA deficient, meaning that we don't have enough GABA in the system to help us calm down. And this happens because of too much stress, toxins in our environment, a leaky gut, a leaky brain, which is associated with a leaky gut. So our blood-brain barrier is not doing what it's supposed to do, causing inflammation, causing more stress. And so this is why many people, after their kids go to bed or after they finish dinner or while they're making dinner, they have that glass of wine, right? They have that glass of wine with them, or two or five or half a bottle or whatever. Alcohol is working on the GABA system. The problem with alcohol, as I think you probably know, Jesse, is that there's not many good things about it overall in the long term. But in this capacity, it will make you feel more relaxed for a period of time, but it binds to the GABA receptor so tightly that it unbinds very quickly afterwards. And this is why many people who drink alcohol, and me being one, I never had the period of time where I could actually tolerate much alcohol and sleep at all. You wake up 2 hours after going to bed and you have a terrible headache overall. And this is because GABA has been depleted very quickly. And then the balance is always between this other neurotransmitter called glutamate, which is our primary excitatory neurotransmitter, and GABA. Glutamate actually gets converted into GABA in our brain. It needs vitamin B6, and magnesium to do that. One of the reasons to take magnesium at night, actually, and B6 for some people. And so if you have this depletion of GABA very quickly, you have glutamate toxicity kinds of symptoms. And this is the same thing that you would have for many of us if you go to a Chinese restaurant and have MSG, monosodium glutamate. MSG is basically a direct bolus of glutamate to the brain. And so you have this glutamate toxicity syndrome, which is headaches, irritability, you can't sleep, you just don't feel right, you just don't feel good at all. This is the overabundance of glutamate. And so glutamate's good if we have enough of it and not too much, because it gives us drive, it gives us motivation, it helps us perform tasks and be on point. Between glutamate and GABA, this is 80% of our brain's neurotransmitter system. So we all think about dopamine and serotonin and norepinephrine, and like we focus on those superstar neurotransmitters. But in the essence, they're much less around than your GABA and your glutamate. And GABA is like your waylay station. It's your gate. It's your sensory gate. And so on average, do you know how many thoughts we have on average per day, Jesse?
I think the number might be 60, 70,000.
Nice work. First person to guess correctly. So
Oh yeah, what is it
yeah,
exactly?
about 70,000 on average. Yeah. And
Nice.
so that doesn't mean you're having 70,000 unique thoughts per day, but you're having 70,000 thoughts. And don't ask me how they were able to calculate this. I don't know exactly. But if you're depressed or you're anxious, that can go up to about 120,000 thoughts per day. And so you've had a full day at work, you had a full day with your kids, you're like, your mind's going on overload, you're not going to be able to sleep here. And a lot of this is because your brain is just so overloaded overall. So if you can enhance the GABA system, you can enhance the brakes of the brain, quiet down your mind. And so it's important to, I think, in my mind, find ways to wind down. And so there's obviously behaviors that you can do. And my physical behavior for that is going into the infrared sauna. But even before that, I'm thinking about, well, often nights, not every night, but many nights, I'm thinking about how I can downregulate my nervous system even still before that. And so working on the GABA system can be very, very helpful here. There's certain things in our diet actually that can help with, with our GABA system. We can talk about that later. But in general, I'm working on the GABA system before I go to bed, before I go in the infrared sauna on most evenings, especially, to go back to your original question, when I have a very big day the next day. Because if you have a big day the next day, your mind is going to be more revved up about what's going to happen the day after, the next day. And so I use a combination of things. We have something called TroCalm at Transcriptions, which is a combination of kava, CBD, CBG, and something called nicotinol GABA. It's a vitamin B3 attached to a GABA itself. The thing about GABA is that you really can't take it as a supplement because it's too big of a molecule to get across into the brain. If it does work for you, if you take GABA and it works for you, it could mean that blood-brain barrier, that the barrier that's supposed to keep things out of the brain, isn't working very well, and it's called a leaky brain. And sounds scary, but in the end, all that means is that you often have a leaky gut, and that needs to be addressed. And a leaky gut is when your gut's not keeping things out of your system as it's supposed to. Our gut is still thought of as the outside world. And the gut is one of the main roles of the gut is to prevent things from getting in that shouldn't get in there. And when you have a leaky barrier, things get in and cause inflammation, immune system dysfunction. They cause issues with your neurotransmitter systems, stress, sympathetic overdrive, deplete GABA, all these kinds of things in the process. So vitamin B3 attached to the GABA, the B3 has a transporter that gets across. The GABA comes with it. And so you get the GABAergic aspect of it. And then the kava, the CBD and CBG are working on the GABA receptor too. And then I'm also working on the body's what's called the endocannabinoid system. The way to think about that is it's kind of like a homeostatic system for the brain and for the body, helps us with balance overall. So that's my combination if I really need to wind down and I know I have a big day the next day. So we don't have to go back to dinner. I think we've gotten maybe further enough into my evening routine, but wind down is something GABAergic, as I was describing, either something more physical, but like more like breath work or things, but oftentimes it's going to be supplementation if I have a big day the next day, like something like Trocom. The infrared sauna is the big thing. We talked about that. And then from there, the supplementation, and then actually going into my bedroom and the routine there too, if you want to go there.
If you enjoyed that clip, you're going to want to head over here and catch a full episode. I'll see you over there.
The challenge is that if you have mitochondrial dysfunction, you have issues with fertility, you have brain fog, concentration issues, you have cardiac issues, liver detox issues, exercise-induced fatigue, all these things. And so working on mitochondrial function is so important. Insulin resistance actually